chapter 23 of The Green Ember, Calling and Community. Before she turned in for the night, Heather stood before the painting of what she was convinced was her old home in what had been the Great Wood. A heaviness fell on her. Images of father, mother, and Jax filled her mind. She imagined them all together, living in the hollow in the painting, looking at the painter's initials, F.S. Finbar Smalls. She thought of Smalls, then of Emma, of the whole upside-down world and its million broken hearts. She wasn't sure exactly what they meant by the mended wood, but she began to long for it. She began to believe somehow that she had always been longing for it. She turned for her bed and saw that Pickett's eyes were already shut. She blew out the candles, rolled into her bed, and was asleep at once. The next day after breakfast, they ascended the stairway to light. Pickett appeared quicker, better at least. His foot seemed better. He was getting more agile with the crutches. As for his mood, he would say almost nothing. They were astonished as the morning light filled King Whitson's garden. They walked around, silently enjoying the sun-soaked air, alive with color, a beauty they seemed to inhabit. Pickett finally sat beneath the statue of Captain Blackstar, silent and ponderous. Heather watched him for a little while, then walked back to enjoy the flowers and trees and soak in the glow of the broken light blanketing the garden. As for Heather, this interlude in light refreshed her heart the way the restful day and night refreshed her body. Well, mostly restful. She thought back to the mad events of early yesterday and wondered if anything would ever feel normal again. They heard noise of work from inside the nearby octagonal building of wood and windows. Whitehall. She wondered what was in there. Gort told me no one's allowed in there yet, Pickett said, walking up and motioning to the building. That access to Whitehall is forbidden. He said it with a hint of accusation. That's true, Shuffler, Emma said. I don't know about saying it's forbidden, like it's a secret tomb of Lander's dragons. That's a bit dramatic. But no one's allowed in for now, except for the artisans. That's what forbidden is, Pickett said, adopting Kyle's smirk as he sat down on a bench. You know, you have a choice about how you see things, Pickett, Emma said, frowning at him. What are they doing? Heather asked. What artisans do, Emma said. Making lovely things, I suppose. Why can't you answer our questions, Emma? Heather asked. I want to, Heather, I really do, she said, but the law of initiates is very important for the security of this community and that of the citadels. There has to be a period of trial. If we blab everything to every new arrival, we're setting ourselves up for betrayal. So they think we're traitors, Pickett said. Emma didn't answer immediately. She looked down, her eyebrows scrunched. I don't think you're traitors, she said. I call you my friends and I trust you, even after such a short time. But this community has had to learn the hard way to be cautious with our trust. Perhaps that will be clearer soon. Heather nodded, but Pickett was still scowling. Heather squinted at Whitehall, trying to see the multicolored glass. There were breaks in the color where ordinary plain glass was featured. It looked like a long hallway leading further in. She thought she saw a short white rabbit pass in front of a clear pane of glass. It makes sense, she thought. If it's Smalls, perhaps he's just following in his father's footsteps. She wondered how Smalls had come to be adopted by her uncle and what exactly had happened in the Great Wood. She wanted all the answers, but had gotten used to being in the dark. Somehow this garden put her at ease and helped her be patient for the unraveling of a story she was somehow a part of, even if only in a small way. They were silent a little while, and Heather finally joined Pickett on the bench. I could stay here forever, Heather said. But I've more to show you, said Emma, reaching for Heather's hand and pulling her up. Come on, Shuffler, she said to Pickett as she made her way down the brick walkway. They followed her. Pickett slowed to gaze up at Captain Blackstar again before shuffling beneath the stone archway to the door. They passed through the guarded door and into the long torchlit corridor. After a little while, this opened into the large circular hallway with 3 doors. Hallway round was busy, but no one was staying there except for the guards. The guards were at their post by the large barrel beneath the double diamond banner, and a few others were milling around, going from one room to another. A few passing rabbits stared hard at them, shaking their heads. This unnerved Heather. Why would some be so unfriendly to them? Who were they to draw attention? She studied the barrel in the room's center. The guards each looked away as she looked at them. They seemed uneasy. The door straight ahead was opened, and a bustling rabbit with stuck baskets of bread emerged. She looked a moment away from spilling them, but somehow managed to keep them all steady. Behind her, the noise of the room she had just left spilled into the hallway. It sounded lively in there. "Does that lead outside?" Heather asked, "to more workers?" "No and yes," said Emma. "Come and see." The door guard bowed slightly to Emma and opened the door, and Emma went through. He eyed Heather and Pickett warily, but they followed Emma in, a great wall of sound meeting them as they entered. It was a massive room, a deep cavern with high walls. The ceiling was a rough dome that appeared to go up forever. Heather and Pickett gaped at the dizzying size of it. The hall seemed as wide as the field beside their home in Nick Hollow, where they'd spent endless hours playing Starseek. The walls were the same neatly carved rock they'd grown used to at Cloud Mountain. They were lined with hundreds of torches. High above, high windows let in wide shafts of light. Before them were hundreds of rabbits engaged in numerous crafts. Adding them to the fairly large number of rabbits he'd seen outside yesterday, Heather realized there must be several hundreds living in and around Cloud Mountain. Row upon row of every kind of work imaginable was being practiced in this mountain hall. There was even a smith in the distant corner, its pounding hammers and gasping bellows part of the chorus of noises that filled the air. The blacksmith was loud, but the noise mingled with the general noise of the place, which was alive with conversation, instruction, and work. There were bookbinders, wheelwrights, fullers, bakers, carters, and many more. There was a station where a fletcher was testing a new-made arrow on a long bow. An eager guard in green stood by, his fingers twitching with excitement. Pickett's eyes widened, and he hobbled in that direction, while Emma put her hand on his shoulder. "Wait, not yet. I want to show you something else." She had to lean toward Heather and Pickett to be heard over the noise. "We can come back and explain later." Reluctantly, Pickett turned to follow her. As he moved, still a little awkward on his crutches, his eyes took in the amazing things all around. Painters made portraits. Chandler and several apprentices tested new-made candles. A barber stitched a wound while a rabbit holding an aching tooth waited nearby. There was more to see. The outside of the hall had halls where a certain number of shops and workshops were settled, while the large room teemed with booths and temporary structures. Everywhere they looked, energetic work was underway. Emma led them down a wide lane of portable booths to an open area where a group of rabbits gathered. Lord Rake in his finest white stood by, smiling. The gathered rabbits were looking at the two who stood near him. One was a middle-aged rabbit, about Uncle Wilfred's age, a doe with kind eyes, glasses, and a bright apron. She had flowers wreathed around her high, handsome ears. The other was nearer to Pickett's and Heather ages, young and happy. They stood face to face, the young rabbit with what must be her parents right beside her, smiling and a little teary eyed. "What's this?" Heather asked. I'm going to stop right here.